Here comes the mail truck, presumably with my guitar. Yep, looks like it. And here it comes. So here it is, a gift provided to me by Leo Ryan from the YouTube channel Leo and Dan Ryan out of San Antonio, Texas. He bought some Harley Benton guitars from Germany and did a giveaway on his channel to me because I consistently watched and positively commented on their channel and the reviews that they were doing for the guitars that they bought. So I'm very grateful to be able to get a free guitar. This is a Harley Benton Cst or TS 24. So it just came as the mail truck pulled up, and we're going to see how she goes. Seems nice and solid. This was packaged in the Firefly box that another guitar Leo bought came in. So we're just going to give her a little open. And presumably it's in as pristine condition as it was when Leo wrapped it up. Maybe it's good to cut the extra tape off the other side. Make it a little bit easier. I will put a link in the description of the video to where Dan, Leo's brother, actually plays and compares this Harley Benton to an actual PRS that he owns. Oh yes, it survived fairly well. This packaging. From what I can tell. The tools are a whammy bar and a couple of Allen keys to go with that. I did look these up on the Thorman website, and they seemed quite nice looking guitars. We've got some tags. This looks like a barcode and some serial numbers. Harley Benton from Thorman.de. Play more, do more, earn more. Player circle. Register now at players.dario.com. Oh, the Dario XL strings. That would be nicer strings, I guess, than the Firefly came with. I used the Dario XL EXL 110s on pretty much all my electrics. Wow. That looks really nice. Let's see if we get the bag off without doing much damage. beautiful color. Bag is nice and snug. Wow. I'm not sure what this color is called. I guess I'll have to look it up to see. Yeah, it's very nice grained wood. I think we got a little bit of sticky stuff on the bottom here from probably the bag. It'll probably come off easily with some cleaning. Neck is a nice grain wood. Scarf joint. Over here, the angle of the neck is not that far back. It's a Cst 24 Deluxe. Made in Vietnam. That's interesting. Usually it's China or Indonesia. First time I've seen a guitar, had a guitar from any of those places, America or the Asians. Push pull. This is a coil tap. I'm assuming it's going to be on the bridge humbucker. So one volume, one tone with a coil tap. I wonder if the coil tap works depending on where the switch is. Something we'll have to check out. But this is a beautiful looking guitar. The action at the moment is quite high. That's something that is way higher than what I would normally like to see, so I'll be working on that. If I pull that down to approximately where I would like to see it at 4/64ths. Let me check the... Wow, the nut action is really good. Normally they're a little bit too high at the nut, but the nut action is quite good. Very low, very nicely cut. The strings protruding through the top of the nut just ever so slightly. And it doesn't look like a plastic nut. That's a harder nut. Yes, very, very pretty. Thank you, Leo, very much. The name on the pickups is Roswell. See if we can get that in the camera with the light. Roswell. Never heard of that, but we're going to give it a shot. I like these independent saddles. Of course, they're all set extremely high, and I will definitely do some work on that. So I will clean the scuff, do an overall cleaning on the guitar. This one was new out of the box from Leo from Germany. They didn't play it, and this is the way he received it from Thorman. He told me. The tuners are similar to Fender style tuners that I have on my other guitars. We'll see what the gear ratio is like on them. It's very, very nice. This is the first guitar that I have with a headstock like this, where the tuners are staggered inwards in order to get the strings to go straight through the nut without the sharp angle that is on the Firefly and Gibson style guitars like that, and acoustics, where the strings are staggered out more towards the outside of the headstock. This is one style of guitar that I don't have. Something I've thought about in the last little while about this is the one style that I see a lot of people using that I don't have. And I thought at some point maybe I would look into it, and lo and behold, a gift. I really appreciate it. The fret ends are really nice. They're dressed, they're smooth, not a cutter on any of them. That's really nice. The binding along there is also quite nice. It's like an aged white binding. Absolutely beautiful. I don't usually use whammy. On my Stratocaster I have that bolted down. I just use fingers for vibrato. But this is quite nice. So the next step after cleaning it up and doing some adjustments will be a little demonstration. But check out Dan's playing on this thing. I couldn't tell the difference between hearing him play this Harley Benton versus his actual PRS in the video that they did. Stand by. So I'm on the bench with the Harley Benton, and I've gotten the paint surfaces all clean and shined up, and I thought I was going to go after what looked like, I don't know if I can get that in there. No, it's not going to show up very well. A bit of whitish substance here on the first fret, which I think is dust from the nut. They say this is a kind of nut. Did they say that is? It'll come to me. Anyway, the color of in the wood, the whole fretwood needs to be cleaned and probably lubricated a little bit. It's very, very dry, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm trying to see what this is going to work like before removing the strings to replace them. They say these are D'Addario. They look like D'Addario. They're supposed to be 10 to 46s. I checked. The high E string is actually a 9, and the rest of them are the right size for 10 to 46s. So we're not going to worry too much about the 9. But what I did find when I was loosening the strings to try to clean the neck is that the low E string, when I tried to get it off, it's stuck in the nut. It's actually pinching quite tightly, like that. I'm going to have to open that up just a little bit. The rest of them are sitting on the top just fine. But that one I'm just going to have to run my nut file through and stop the pinching. I think it's only in the front this way. That just needs to be just slightly opened up. And the string is sitting level with the top of where the nut is cut right now. And I'm hoping that once I do an adjustment on the neck relief, that I won't have to worry about trying to build that up if it's too close to the first fret. I'm going to have to drop the action at the other end as well. So I have a nut file, which is for number 6. Let's see how she fits in there. And it seems that it's actually the top side that has a little bit of a burr just touching it. Oh, the graphite nut. I said this is a graphite nut. Move those over there. Let's see how she works. Perfect. Just that touch, and now no binding. I would have probably had tuning problems if I hadn't have tried to see if I could clean this off first while I was here, and I would not have understood why it was having a really hard time tuning, and I probably would have blamed the tuners. The tuners on this are, I think, the same as what came on my Firefly 335 copy. They're probably a very coarse gear ratio. I'll find out when I go to tune it, and we'll see how it works out. I'm going to try just a little bit of lemon oil. I thought that was supposed to have a little dabadooya on the top of that thing, and I'm not sure why that's coming. Oh, there it is. It did come out. Yep, smells like lemon. So I don't want to put a whole lot on there. I just want to put a little bit on the rag and just rub it and see what it's going to do. It'll just take that little bit of, it's kind of beige-ish to a degree. And oh yeah, there's a little bit of black coming off of there. So the whole fretboard is going to need a cleaning, and I will go into more depth on this when I take off the strings, and I'll check all frets. And although the crowning on these frets is quite nice, I have to say, besides the fret ends that are fairly good. I found number 1 and number 3 have just a tiny little bit of sharpness that a touch of a file is going to be okay on it. Yeah, this lemon did a good enough job right now, just cleaning up that first one. This guitar did not have buffing compound left all over it. I did find some here in the truss rod adjustment hole, but not a lot. And while I've got access to fret number 2 and 3, I might as well just give it a little bit of a rub. Number 4. Okay, I'll go a little further. This is not a lot, it's just a tiny little bit. I'm not even sure it'll be a dabbing thing. I want to do a much more intensive job on it later. I want to see how quickly I can get it adjusted to my specifications and try to do some sound with it. See what it sounds like as original equipment. And see where it goes from there. I'll definitely polish these frets, of course. There's a slight little bit of tarnish on them, but they're way better. A little bit of a rough spot on that one. They're way better than what came on the Firefly 335. I just got a call from Leo in San Antonio. He got information from the tracking that my guitar had arrived today that he sent me. I wanted to see what it looked like when it got here. Did it arrive in one piece? And the shipping was good. He packaged it well, and she's good. Now apparently he tells me this was a B stock purchase, and I said, okay, that explains the what I found on the back side here. It's on the bottom actually. There's somebody took a little nick out of here. Maybe barely see that in the light. When it was stained, somebody did a little nick on it, didn't touch it up, and then they shot poly over the top. And that's probably what created the B problem. As well, down here, there's a tiny little score, which I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get in the light. There's a tiny little score that in the wood, like somebody just put their nail across it, or some kind of a tool, and then the poly shot over the top of it, and you can see it in the wood. Other than that, you know, the finish on the horns and stuff, there's a little bit of bruising in the poly, but nothing that you'd ever be worried about. But they call this a B stock, but I'm assuming that that's just from a few of those aesthetics, and everything else will work properly. I'm going to just clean that out a little bit, and we'll re-put the strings. We'll try to do some tuning and do some adjustment of the truss rod as required, and set the saddle heights. That one is yeah, that slot for the high E is not deep enough. It's sitting too high on the saddle. It's popping out quite easily. I'm gonna have to put that down. I don't have an actual file small enough for that. I have to jury rig something. I have another kind of a little saw blade that's very, very tiny. And I also have these things, which I think might just do the trick. Lincoln Electric. You'll see these online everywhere. These are little cleaners for gas line fitters. They use these to clean out small jets in some focus. Gas jets of some kind, natural gas furnaces. And for little touch-up jobs like that, the small one will actually fit that. And while I'm here, let's just see how it's going to go. While I'm here, and all you got to do is basically just hold it in place at the angle you're looking for. Just run it back and forth at an angle that goes with the headstock. This is graphite, so it is a little bit harder than the typical plastics, and even the bone. I'm going to use one size up because it's a little bit rougher. And this is, yeah, I can feel it. It's cutting. Just needs to be a tiny bit deeper, as we don't want those strings popping out of there. Let's see what that's like. Tiny bit more. I was more towards the back edge there, and I'm going to go a little bit more towards the front edge. And I still need to get that sharp break angle over the leading edge. Now eventually it's going to be an actual 10 string, which will be a little bit thicker than this one. Alright, we're going to go with that. That's all it took. It's a little tool like that to make the difference. Alright, so I'm going to plug in my tuner. And see that she makes some kind of sound. Alright, let me just sit back and try to get it in a more vertical position. I had a pick around here somewhere, which I can't find now. The tuning. Oh. Yep, action. The action on all the strings at the first note is a little bit too high, except for the low E. So all those things will need to be looked into. I'll probably have to go deeper on everyone. Definitely too high. I can tell by looking at it, I don't even need a gauge. And And down here at the moment, we're looking at about 6/64ths. Oh, and about 7 on that end. So all that stuff has to go down, down, down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some of this stuff off camera between maybe tonight and tomorrow. And I'll get back to you. Here's a quick look inside the covers in the back of the guitar. The 3 springs. There's a school of thought that says these should be parallel to each other, but they seem to be working okay. This black is just black stain. It's not actually grounding coating. And in the electronics cavity, and a little extra light in there like that, the wiring is neat. It's a 47 microfarad capacitor. I think I normally go with a 22. And then over here there's a pot, and you're not going to be able to see that, but it's a mini pot, and it has, there it is, 500 it says on it, B500JS unbranded pots. And it's held together with not tie wraps, but these twisty ties that you'd use on garbage bags. All in all, the guitar is working, and I've been able to determine that the push-pull switch does work for both pickups depending on the position of the 3-position switch from over here. So when you pull it out, it will split all pickups, bridge alone, neck alone, and together. So you can't get a combination of one split and the other one not. If I were to be a little adventurous in the future, I would likely change out this one here, the volume, and put a push-pull on it like this one, so I could split the bridge and neck separately, as I did on my build for Tele number 3. And that gives you a little bit more options. All in all, it's not a terrible looking job. Soldering is looking quite good, and there is no buzz or noise from the guitar at all when plugged into the amplifier. Just an additional quick note, they shielded the inside of the back cavity cover, and it doesn't really do much of anything because this is not a grounding paint, even though here they looks like they put some kind of a nail in the side of it and brought a common grounding point to it. I've measured this with my meter, and there's no conductivity at all in this black stain. If it was a shielding paint, I think it would be much thicker. There'd be some continuity, and you wouldn't see as much wood grain through it. So I'm rechecking the adjustments from yesterday. The neck relief is good. Just touching the 11th thou, and it's not focusing in the light. Like that. that I use because I don't have a 10 in this set of feeler gauges, so I use the 11 and just let it sit on the top of that because 10 is what I like. If it goes 11, it's not a serious issue. So that's good. And another mod that I will likely do on this is add the bleed circuit. Let's turn that around. Add the treble bleed circuit for the volume pot. That's one of the minor things I would do before changing any of the wiring and the electronics, to have push-pull switches on both. Toggle switch seems to be similar to the one that's also on the Firefly guitars. And I think it's ready to play as it is before I do any of the other work. There are frets that need to be leveled off, which will be a major work when I take all the strings off and go into the frets, level, polish, and at that point I'll probably work on the nut as the preamble to doing all the other work, because when these strings are coming off I don't care if they break or if they get dirty, because I will be just using them to gauge the height of the string over the first fret. And once that's done, the rest of the work can proceed. I really like the feel of the neck. It feels a lot like my Telecasters. There's a Telecaster here with the XGP neck on it. Yeah, it feels a lot like the Telecaster neck, and playing is it's quite comfortable. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like this guitar, especially with humbuckers that I like the sound and output from. I think I can make use of those. The only other humbuckers I have are in my Gibson, and I've changed them 3 times and I can't seem to find a set which I like the sound of, but these are good. I'm told these used to be Wilkinson tuners. Yes, I use Wilkinson tuners, but Wilkinson pickups, and now they're called Roswell. I've seen a few videos of guys playing the Wilkinson, and from YouTube videos to actually playing these Roswells, I can't really make the comparison, but I think they sound similar. The tuners on here are coarse, and I think they are exactly the same ones as the Firefly, as I suspected earlier. Once you get them in there, though, it holds tune pretty close. But eventually I may also, put some Wilkinsons on this. I may even divert the Wilkinsons I bought for the Firefly to this first. I'm just not sure. Okay, so tuning done. Remarkably, I haven't had to touch the intonation at this point. It was extremely close, if not exactly on. Truss rod is adjusted. Now, I found high frets, middle, here. 18th fret is too high for D, G, B, okay for the E. So high in the middle here. There's a few other ones. I think on this one it's too high, around 13. Yeah, 13, 14, 15. 16th fret is too high. And there's a high fret here up on number 2. Not really going to be a bother at this point because of the height of the nut action. So these are things that I'll take note of to fix in the future. Once the strings come off and it needs full neck work. So it's going to be some high frets to be taken down. Got the truss rod adjusted approximately where I want. The action height is low. How low can you go? We're at 4/64ths both sides compared to what it was. And that's why, of course, there's some buzzing now. But okay, next thing is going to be plug it in. See what it sounds like there before we go to any next steps. Still something I'm working on. We'll do a demo with the Harley. So with the action at this height, with the way I like it, a little bit high up there, not defeating the purpose at the moment, just going to make the fingers sore playing the cowboy strings. These Roswell pickups sound really nice. They're kind of brighter for humbuckers, and I like that. So that was played full volume, no tone, full up, and on the bridge pickup. So bridge, middle, warms up a little bit. Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Leo Ryan, for a free Harley Benton. Appreciate it. Thanks for choosing me.